The desperate call the story opens with the Galactic Council in chaos. Ambassador Vex of the blue-skinned Talari species stands before the emergency assembly, his voice shaking as he delivers the grim report. The Void Swarm, an ancient enemy thought extinct, has returned from the dark regions beyond the galaxy's edge. The council chambers buzz with panic as representatives from dozens of species discuss their dwindling options. The swarm has already consumed 3 entire star systems, turning planets into dead rocks and enslaving any survivors. Their biomechanical ships seem unstoppable, adapting to every weapon the civilized galaxy throws at them. Elder Kron, the wise leader of the reptilian Nexus people, calls for order. He explains that their greatest military minds have run countless simulations. Every scenario ends the same way: total defeat within 6 months. The advanced Helios Federation, known for their energy weapons, has already lost half their fleet. The warrior clans of the Forge Worlds, famous for their battle prowess, barely escaped their last encounter. As desperation fills the room, a young Talari scientist named Ren steps forward. She presents data from the restricted archives, information about a small blue planet called Earth in a remote spiral arm. The humans who live there are considered primitive by galactic standards, still using crude projectile weapons and chemical explosives. They have no energy shields, no faster-than-light communication, and their ships move slower than most cargo vessels. The council erupts in bitter laughter. How could such backward beings possibly help when the galaxy's finest warriors have failed? But Ren continues, showing combat footage obtained by long-range probes. The images reveal something disturbing. Humans wage war with a brutality and persistence that chills even the battle-hardened. Council members. The footage shows human soldiers fighting in conditions that would break other species. They continue, battling even when wounded, even when outnumbered, even when victory seems impossible. Their history is filled with conflicts where smaller forces defeated larger ones through sheer determination and tactical cunning. Elder Kron studies the data with growing interest. Humans, he realizes, are the only species that seems to enjoy conflict. While other races view war as a necessary evil, humans have turned it into an art form. They have weapons designed specifically to cause maximum psychological damage, tactics that rely on unpredictability, and a disturbing tendency to fight harder when cornered. The council debates through the night. Some argue that contacting Earth would be pointless. What could primitive humans do against biomechanical nightmares from beyond the stars? Others worry about the moral implications of dragging another species into their war, but as reports arrive of more systems falling to the swarm, the choice becomes clear. Ambassador Vex receives word that his homeworld of Talaris Prime is under attack. The great crystal cities that took centuries to build are being torn apart by swarm creatures that seem to feed on both technology and living flesh. With heavy hearts, the council makes their decision. They will send a message to Earth, explaining the situation and asking for help. They offer to share their advanced technology in exchange for human military assistance. The message is transmitted using their most powerful communication array, aimed at the small blue planet that represents their last hope. The transmission reaches Earth's deep space monitoring stations within hours. Military leaders around the world gather to decode the alien message. The content is shocking, proof that humanity is not alone in the universe, and that the galaxy is under threat from an ancient evil. As the story's first part concludes, the camera pulls back to show Earth in all its beauty. The blue marble hangs in space, seemingly peaceful and insignificant. But beneath its calm surface, the most dangerous predators in the galaxy are about to be awakened. The final lines reveal the human response to the alien plea for help. Military commanders review the data with cold efficiency. They see the swarm's tactics, their weaknesses, and their strengths. While the galaxy's civilized species see only overwhelming force, humans see a puzzle to be solved. General Blake, a veteran of countless human conflicts, addresses the assembled leaders. His words are simple but chilling. They want our help? They want to see what happens when you threaten something humans care about? Fine. Send them our answer. The message that goes back to the Galactic Council is brief. Earth accepts your request for assistance. Our warriors are coming. Part 1 ends with the first human ships beginning their preparation for departure. The galaxy asked for help, and Earth is about to show them what humans do best. Wage war with a creativity and viciousness that would make even demons pause. First Contact Protocol. The human fleet arrives at the Galactic Council's coordinates with characteristic efficiency. Admiral Ross commands the expeditionary force from the flagship Vengeance, a massive vessel bristling with railguns, missile pods, and kinetic weapons that seem primitive by galactic standards. The alien observers are initially unimpressed by the human technology, but their attitude changes when they witness the crew's discipline and readiness. Captain Maria Santos leads the first human delegation to the Council Station. Her team includes Colonel Hayes, a Special Forces veteran, and Dr. Wilson, a xenobiologist who has spent months studying the limited alien data. As they dock with the station, the humans immediately begin tactical assessments, noting weak points. In the station's design and potential defensive positions, the aliens are struck by the humans' appearance. Unlike the graceful Talari or the imposing Nexus, humans look unremarkable. Medium height, basic physical capabilities, and no obvious natural weapons. But their eyes hold something that makes even veteran warriors uncomfortable. There's a calculating coldness there, a predatory awareness that suggests these beings are far more dangerous than they appear. Elder Kron greets the human delegation personally. He's prepared a formal ceremony, as is traditional when new species join galactic civilization. But Captain Santos cuts through the pleasantries with military precision. She wants to see the enemy, study their tactics, and understand exactly what they're fighting. The briefing that follows shocks the human team. The Void Swarm consists of biomechanical creatures that can adapt to any weapon used against them. They consume planets for resources, turning entire worlds into hive-like structures. Their ships are living organisms that can heal damage and evolve new defenses. Mid-battle. Dr. Wilson asks probing questions about the swarm's biology. How do they reproduce? What are their energy requirements? How do they communicate? The aliens provide what data they have, but admit they've been too focused on defense to study their enemy properly. Colonel Hayes reviews the combat footage with a tactical eye. He notices something the aliens missed. The swarm's attacks follow predictable patterns. They're intelligent, but they think like a hive mind. They don't understand individual initiative or unpredictable behavior. The first test comes when a swarm scout ship approaches the Council Station. The aliens prepare to evacuate, but Captain Santos requests permission to engage. The Vengeance moves to intercept, its weapons powered and ready. The battle is brief but educational. The swarm vessel launches biomechanical fighters that swarm toward the human ship. The aliens watch in fascination as the humans respond with tactics they've never seen before. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, the Vengeance uses its point defense systems to create a deadly crossfire, destroying the fighters with overlapping fields of fire. But the real surprise comes when the swarm ship tries to adapt to the human weapons. The biomechanical hull begins to thicken, developing resistance to the railgun rounds. The aliens prepare for another stalemate, but Admiral Ross has other ideas. The humans switch tactics mid-battle. Instead of relying on their main guns, they deploy hunter-killer drones armed with nuclear warheads. The swarm ship's adaptation mechanisms are useless against weapons that vaporize everything in their blast radius. The alien vessel is destroyed in a brilliant flash of atomic fire. The council members are stunned. In minutes, the humans have accomplished what their finest warriors couldn't do in months. They've found a way to kill the swarm without giving it time to adapt. But their relief is mixed with unease. The humans used nuclear weapons as casually as other species might use conventional missiles. Elder Kron approaches Captain Santos after the battle. He thanks her for the demonstration, but he's clearly troubled. The humans' willingness to use such devastating weapons so readily suggests they have a very different relationship with destruction than other species. Santos explains the human philosophy of war with cold logic. The goal isn't to fight honorably or preserve resources. It's to win as quickly and efficiently as possible. If that means turning an enemy ship into radioactive vapor, then that's what they'll do. The aliens' concern about collateral damage or fair play is a luxury humans can't afford when survival is at stake. The second part ends with the human fleet preparing to move deeper into swarm territory. The aliens have provided them with intelligence about the enemy's main strongholds, but they're beginning to wonder if they've made a terrible mistake. The humans seem almost as frightening as the swarm itself. As the ships depart, Colonel Hayes briefs his troops on their mission. His words are simple. We're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten something under human protection. The swarm wants to consume the galaxy? Let's see how they handle being consumed by something worse. The human way of war. The human fleet strikes at the swarm's outer territories with a fury that catches both the enemy and their alien allies off guard. Admiral Ross has divided his forces into small, fast-moving units that hit multiple targets simultaneously. This goes against every principle of galactic warfare, where large fleets engage in massive set-piece battles. Captain Santos leads her strike team against a swarm hive world in the Centauri sector. The planet's surface is covered in biomechanical structures that pulse with alien life. Previous attempts to retake the world involved orbital bombardment followed by ground assault. Tactics that failed when the swarm simply adapted to the attacks. The humans try a different approach. Instead of announcing their presence, they send stealth drones to map the hive's structure. Dr. Wilson has identified the creatures' weakness. They're vulnerable during their reproduction cycle when they're focused on creating new warriors. Instead of defending themselves, the attack begins with precision strikes on the hive's communication nodes. The humans don't try to destroy the entire structure at once. Instead, they blind and deafen it, cutting off the swarm's ability to coordinate their defense. Within minutes, the hive mind fragments into confused individual clusters. Colonel Hayes leads the ground assault with tactics that would be considered war crimes by galactic standards. His soldiers use chemical weapons to flush swarm creatures from their tunnels and incinerate them with flamethrowers. They deploy biological agents that target the creatures' nervous systems, causing them to attack each other in confusion. The alien observers watching from orbit are horrified. Ambassador Vex contacts Captain Santos, demanding to know why the humans are using such brutal methods. Her response is matter of fact. Because they work. Your people tried to fight this enemy with honor and nearly went extinct. We're fighting to win. The battle for the hive world lasts only 6 hours. The swarm creatures, adapted to defend against energy weapons and conventional explosives, have no answer for napalm, nerve gas, and nuclear mines. The humans systematically destroy every biomechanical structure on the planet, leaving behind only radioactive ash. But the real shock comes when the humans don't stop there. Colonel Hayes orders his teams to hunt down every surviving swarm creature, no matter how small. They burn out the underground tunnels, poison the water supplies, and salt the earth to prevent regrowth. When they're finished, the planet is uninhabitable. But the swarm presence is completely eliminated. The second target is a swarm fleet moving toward the Tallery home system. The aliens expect another conventional battle, but the humans have other plans. They approach the biomechanical ships not as enemies to be destroyed, but as problems to be solved. Dr. Wilson has discovered that the swarm ships are actually sophisticated organisms that require specific nutrients to survive. Instead of shooting at them, the humans deploy what they call nutritional warfare. They release modified bacteria that consume the exact proteins the swarm ships need to maintain their hull integrity. The alien fleet watches in amazement as the swarm vessels begin to literally fall apart. The biomechanical hulls develop holes that spread like cancer. The creatures inside suffocate in the vacuum of space. Within hours, an entire swarm fleet is reduced to drifting organic debris. The third strike targets the swarm's main staging area, a massive space station grown from the remains of a dead star. The aliens consider it impregnable. Its biomechanical armor is kilometers thick, and it's defended by thousands of drone ships. Previous attacks have failed to even scratch its surface. The humans don't try to destroy the station. Instead, they infiltrate it. Special forces teams led by Sergeant Murphy use stolen swarm biosuits to disguise themselves as captured creatures. They move through the station's organic corridors, planting nuclear devices in critical locations. The plan works because the swarm never considered the possibility of deception. They're a hive mind that thinks in terms of direct confrontation. The concept of infiltration and sabotage is alien to them. By the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. The station's destruction is visible from 3 star systems away. The explosion tears through the biomechanical structure like a chain reaction, consuming the ancient organism from within. The swarm's main base, built over centuries, is gone in minutes. Part 3 ends with the human fleet regrouping to plan their next moves. The aliens are beginning to understand that they haven't just recruited warriors. They've unleashed something that fights by completely different rules. The humans don't just want to defeat the swarm. They want to exterminate it so thoroughly that it can never threaten anyone again. Elder Kron watches the tactical reports with growing unease. The humans are winning, but their methods are transforming the very nature of galactic warfare. He wonders if they'll have any galaxy left to save when the humans are finished. The price of victory, the human war machine rolls deeper into swarm territory, leaving devastation in its wake. Admiral Ross has established forward bases on conquered worlds, turning them into massive weapons factories. The aliens watch in fascination and horror as humans convert entire planets into instruments of war with industrial efficiency that surpasses even their most advanced civilizations. Captain Santos oversees the construction of a new type of weapon. Planet-killer missiles designed specifically to target worlds that have been fully converted by the swarm. The biomechanical planets are actually massive organisms, and the humans have discovered they can be poisoned just like any other living thing. The missiles carry toxins that will spread through the planet's organic networks, killing everything within days. The first test of these weapons comes at the Zerion system, where the swarm has transformed 3 worlds into breeding grounds for their warriors. The aliens expect a long siege, but the humans launch their planet killers from maximum range. The missiles penetrate the biomechanical atmosphere and detonate in the planetary core. The death of the worlds is visible from space. The biomechanical continents writhe and convulse as the poison spreads through their systems. Within hours, the planet's surfaces crack and bleed, releasing toxic gases that turn the atmosphere into a poisonous soup. The swarm creatures die by the billions, their hive minds screaming in frequencies that drive nearby aliens to madness. Dr. Wilson studies the effects with scientific detachment. She's identified the specific neural pathways that allow the swarm to share consciousness, and she's developed weapons that target those connections. Her mind-killer bombs don't just destroy swarm creatures, they sever their connection to the hive mind. leaving them confused and helpless. The psychological impact on the swarm is devastating. For the first time in their existence, they experience true fear. Their hive minds, which have conquered countless galaxies, are being systematically dismantled by creatures they considered inferior. The biomechanical ships begin to retreat, falling back toward their core territories. But the humans don't let them escape. Colonel Hayes leads pursuit forces that hunt down fleeing swarm vessels with relentless efficiency. His soldiers have developed a taste for the hunt, decorating their armor with trophies taken from destroyed biomechanical creatures. They've become something new, warriors who fight not just for victory, but for the complete annihilation of their enemy, the alien. Observers are deeply troubled by what they're seeing. Ambassador Vex meets with Captain Santos to express his concerns. The humans are winning, but they're using methods that violate every principle of civilized warfare. They're not just defeating the swarm, they're committing genocide on a galactic. Santos listens to his concerns with cold patience. She explains that the swarm isn't just an enemy to be defeated. It's a plague that must be completely eradicated. Any survivors will eventually rebuild and return stronger than before. The only way to ensure the galaxy's safety is to eliminate every last trace of the swarm's existence. The conversation reveals the fundamental difference between human and alien thinking. The aliens see war as a political tool, a way to achieve specific goals through controlled violence. Humans see it as a natural process, like a forest fire that burns away the old to make room for the new. They don't fight to win territory or resources. They fight to ensure their enemy can never threaten them again. The climax of Part 4 comes when the human fleet reaches the swarm's core territory, a region of space where they've existed for millions of years. The area is filled with ancient biomechanical structures that dwarf entire star systems. The aliens believe these structures are indestructible, built from materials that exist nowhere else in the universe. The humans see them as just another problem to solve. Admiral Ross deploys his most devastating weapon, self-replicating mining. Drones that consume matter at the molecular level. The drones are programmed to seek out and destroy the specific biomechanical compounds that the swarm uses to build their structures. The attack begins with a single drone released into the heart of the swarm's territory. Within hours, it has replicated itself 1,000 times. Within days, the swarm of drones is consuming entire space stations. Within weeks, structures that have stood for eons are being reduced to their component atoms. The swarm's final bastion, a biomechanical construct the size of a small moon, becomes the focus of the most intense battle in galactic history. The humans don't try to destroy it conventionally. Instead, they burrow into its core like a virus, planting nuclear devices that will tear it apart from within. Part 4 ends with the human fleet preparing for the final assault. The aliens realize they're witnessing something unprecedented, the complete extinction of a species that has survived for millions of years. The humans have shown them that any enemy, no matter how powerful, can be defeated if you're willing to pay the price. The new galactic order, the final battle, takes place in the void itself, the dark region beyond the galaxy's edge where the swarm originated. The human fleet, now grown to massive proportions with alien support ships, faces the last remnants of an enemy that once seemed invincible. The biomechanical creatures have retreated to their ancestral spawning grounds, ancient structures that predate most known civilizations. Admiral Ross coordinates the assault from his flagship, now retrofitted with alien technology that complements human weapons. The combination is devastating. Energy shields that can deflect swarm bioweapons, paired with human kinetic weapons that punch through any defense. The aliens have learned to appreciate the brutal efficiency of human warfare. Captain Santos leads the final ground assault on the swarm's core hive, a massive organic structure that extends deep into the fabric of space itself. The battle is unlike anything in galactic history. Human soldiers fight through corridors that shift and change, their weapons blazing against creatures that seem to merge with the walls themselves. The key to victory comes from an unexpected source. Dr. Wilson has discovered that the swarm's hive mind is actually a single, ancient entity that has been splitting itself across the galaxy for millions of years. All the individual creatures are just extensions of one original consciousness. To truly defeat the swarm, they must destroy the source. The entity is located in the deepest part of the hive, a chamber where reality itself seems to bend. Colonel Hayes volunteers to lead the final assault, knowing it's likely a suicide mission. His team carries the most powerful weapon humanity has ever created, a consciousness killer bomb that will sever the connections between all swarm creatures. Simultaneously, the battle through the hive's depths is a nightmare of biomechanical horror. The ancient entity throws everything it has at the human assault team, creating new types of creatures on the fly. But the humans adapt faster, using flamethrowers in close quarters and deploying chemical weapons that eat through organic armor. Hayes reaches the central chamber. He finds something that challenges everything they thought they knew about the swarm. The entity isn't just a predator. It's the last survivor of a species that once fought against an even greater evil. It consumed worlds not from malice, but from a desperate need to grow strong enough to defend against something worse. That the revelation forces a terrible choice. The entity offers to share its knowledge, to prepare the galaxy for the true enemy that destroyed its creators. But accepting would mean allowing the swarm to survive, to continue consuming worlds in preparation for a war that might never come. Hayes makes the decision that defines humanity's character. He activates the consciousness killer bomb, choosing to face unknown future threats rather than accept a known evil. The entity's death screen echoes across dimensions, and every swarm creature in the universe dies simultaneously. The aftermath is swift and brutal. The biomechanical worlds collapse without the hive mind to sustain them. Swarm ships drift lifeless through space, their crews dead before they even realize what happened. In less than an hour, a species that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years is completely extinct. The human fleet returns to the Galactic Council as heroes, but the aliens' gratitude is mixed with fear. They've seen what humans are capable of when they decide something must be destroyed. The complete annihilation of the swarm proves that humans don't just fight wars, they wage extinction campaigns. Elder Kron addresses the assembled council, formally thanking humanity for their service. But his words carry a subtle warning. The humans have proven themselves the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. They've shown that any enemy, no matter how powerful or ancient, can be completely eliminated if it threatens something they protect. The story's conclusion reveals the new galactic order. Humanity is offered full membership in the Galactic Council, with a permanent seat due to their military prowess. Human advisors are stationed on every major world, officially to help with defense planning, but actually to ensure that no one ever threatens the peace again. Captain Santos accepts the position of Galactic Military Coordinator, overseeing the integration of human and alien forces. She establishes new protocols for dealing with existential threats, protocols that emphasize complete elimination over containment. The galaxy has learned that some enemies are too dangerous to be allowed to exist. The final scenes show human colonies spreading throughout the galaxy, bringing with them the industrial capacity and warrior mindset that saved civilization. The aliens welcome them as protectors, but they also watch them carefully. They've learned that humans are capable of both great protection and terrible destruction. The story ends with a message received by deep space monitors, a transmission from beyond the galactic rim, where the entity spoke of greater threats. The signal is encrypted in a way that suggests intelligence far beyond anything currently known. The galaxy may be safe from the swarm, but new challenges await. Admiral Ross studies the transmission with the same cold efficiency he brought to the Swarm War. His response is characteristically human. If something out there thinks it can threaten this galaxy, it's about to learn why that's a mistake. We've just finished one extermination campaign. We can start another. The galaxy called for help, and Earth answered with its deadliest warriors. Now those warriors stand guard over 1,000 worlds, ensuring that nothing will ever threaten the peace again. The age of human protection has begun. The end asterisk.